there's a fundamental math problem here. There is a constant reiteration of waste, fraud, and abuse. Sure, that's great. What is the identified amount of waste that this committee has identified? Because what the order that's been sent down here is find $880 billion. Not there is $880 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse. It's find $880 billion. And so we have not heard a single concrete number of the amount of waste that's been identified. We have not heard a single concrete number on the amount of abuse that's been identified. And there's just kind of this vague magic wand around waste, to my colleague from California's point. And waste is being used as a very large word here, because what's being suggested is that long-term care is wasteful in America, that children's health insurance is wasteful in America, that poor people seeing the doctor is a waste, that all of these people are disposable, that the elderly are disposable. So I think the problem here is that the numbers don't add up. The numbers don't add up. $880 billion is a devastating cut to Medicaid, and given that 30% of Medicaid dollars also go to Medicare, it's also an attack on Medicare, to Medicare recipients. And so while I completely understand the idea that there should not be waste, that there should not be fraud, and that there should not be abuse, $880 billion is not that. This is an attack on Medicaid, and anyone who votes on this budget this week is voting to cut Medicaid in America and voting to gut healthcare for Medicare recipients in America. There's just no other way around it. And with that, I yield back. As someone who represents a large hospital network that receives a lot of research funds, telling people to wait, that it's just been a week, that we don't need to be so concerned, I think you should tell that to someone with an experimental pacemaker that's inserted in their body right now whose research is now imperiled. We've got folks in these systems, researchers, people who support this research that have just been laid off, people with medical devices, experimental medical devices implanted in their body that have been abandoned due to this reckless idea that we can just come in and lay off dozens of public servants as though their work does not matter, as though it has no impact on everyday people, as though these breakthroughs are not imperiled. The way that scientific research works, you can't just blip things and turn things off. Cancer research, medical research, short-term research, cell cultures, these are not things that you can just take out of a fridge, dump it, and put it back in again. Companies, when we talk about innovation in our treatments, companies are working to try to get these treatments approved. And these kinds of blips and delays and disruptions in sensitive scientific processes may force these experiments to start all over again, delaying approvals by months, if not even years. This amendment is very simple. It is not asking for extra dollars. It is not asking for large changes. It is not asking for structural shifts. It is saying that we need to examine these disruptions and the impacts that they have been having on everyday people to make sure that people are still safe. And respectfully, as it pertains to the FDA already being mentioned in oversight plans, in previous oversight plans, one thing that is not included in previous oversight plans that is different from today is DOGE. DOGE did not exist 2 years ago. 19-year-olds were not raiding the Treasury 2 years ago. People who have no idea with medical background have not been hauling in and creating kangaroo courts for scientists to dismiss them 2 years ago. That started happening now. Elon Musk is not a scientist. He is not an engineer. He is a billionaire con man with a lot of money. He does not have this kind of good background. And in fact, While there's some disruption over that, I sincerely ask you all to examine what expertise he has in approving medical devices, in biomedical engineering devices. And if you all think that he is an expert in that, I've got a bridge to nowhere to sell you. These are people's lives that are on the line, and we cannot laugh them away. Genuinely, please, I am asking you to please support this amendment for the people who have medical devices stuck in their body. Thank you, and I yield back.